Hi, I'm Beth with TB Properties Buys Land. So you've got rural vacant land. You've got empty land sitting out there that you're finally ready to sell. Maybe you found a buyer for your land. Maybe you're working with a realtor. Maybe you're working with a real estate investor like TB Properties Buys Land. Now, you can negotiate the sale price of that property, but what about the closing costs? Can you negotiate those as well? Well, the answer to that is you can negotiate just about anything. Now, will your buyer for your land say yes to that? That's the other question. But when it comes to closing costs and negotiating those, there's generally a typical split. If you're working with a title company, which we advise that you do for the safety of both parties, there's escrow fees that are split 50-50. They have buyer escrow fees and seller escrow fees, and they cut those in half. Another part of the closing costs are going to be the transfer taxes, and normally the seller pays for those. Recording fees with the county, normally the buyer pays for that. All right. Title insurance, normally as a seller, you cover title insurance to kind of protect you if you're giving them a warranty deed. Other closing costs that are included that could be realtor fees. Did you use a realtor to sell your rural land? Is your buyer using a realtor to purchase your property? Now, rural vacant land isn't going to bring as big a price tag as a house. So closing costs generally are 10% split between the buyer and the seller realtors. So factor that into the closing costs. Other potential closing costs could be if your rural land needs a survey. Maybe that title company is going to require that the property be newly surveyed before they offer title insurance for that property. Maybe there's a dispute on the boundaries. Okay, so these are all things that you can negotiate when you're selling your property. The buyer who's buying your property may want a split. They may ask you, to cover some of the closing costs. The survey might be requested that you cover that. So whenever it comes to selling your property, think about that purchase price or that sale price, but also think about what the closing costs are going to take off of that price that you bring home. Okay, so that could be a couple $1,000s in closing. The realtor fees could add an extra $1,000 to $2,000 or even more to that closing cost. If you've got a survey, that can rack up several $1,000s if a survey is required. So consider that when you're looking at your sell price and when you're tagging that sell price there, and when you're going to close and when you're negotiating with the buyer. TB Properties Buys Land. We're a real estate investor. We offer a purchase price to you that will include us covering all of the closing costs, okay? Including buyer and seller escrow fees, transfer taxes, recording fees, title insurance. If there's a survey, we cover that as well. So that way, the price that we have on that purchase agreement is exactly what you're going to bring home. And you don't have to worry about any kind of realtor fees coming out of that survey costs or closing costs. But that's something to consider when you're working with somebody who's buying your land. And if you have any questions about how TB Properties Buys Land works and how we, pay for your property with cash, work through a title company, cover all the closing costs, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks again for listening in. Hope you have a great day.